Hello there, my name is James and welcome to another top 10 list where I just do random generic top 10s. And today we're going to be commemorating those instruction manuals that helped us through the way of a game. So, I got 10 there, let's begin. We're starting off the list with Brute Force. Never heard of it? I don't blame you, it's a very underrated Xbox game. The instruction manual is pretty straightforward. You got your game screen diagram, the controls, how to get started page, simple stuff. What I like though in this book is the character descriptions of the four main protagonists you play as. It explains their role in the game, species, abilities and skills. I think it's just a trait of mine where character is key. But you also got neat short descriptions of the weapons and items and a good enough amount of information on the enemies and villains of Brute Force. Not massive in any way, but simple to the casual player. Also, did I say this game is hard as nails? Jade Empire is here on this list, but mainly for a specific reason. Back when this came out, I rented it from the video store and was very eager to give it a go. But I had to wait a fair bit longer as my mother spent about 20 minutes grocery shopping. So, that gave me enough time to look at everything. The gorgeous box art, the back of the box, the disc, and of course, the manual. And again, it's pretty simplistic, but at the time, I never really played a role-playing game before, if you don't count Fable. And 20 minutes is a lot of time. I didn't powerhouse through it, just looking at the pictures and the symbols. I invested that time into every page of this booklet, from the controls to the perks and choices, the tiny but large amount of history for Jade Empire's lore, the fighting styles, even the bloody credits. When I eventually played it, I did die a fair bit, that was to be expected though. But I understood what I needed to learn that came from the manual, and it was very helpful. Also, advertisements for other Xbox games. Yep. My word, this is a big booklet. Tales of Vesperia was the first game I played in the Tales of series. I didn't know much about it. And luckily, this teaches you everything you need to know that comes from a JRPG. How you play it, the skills and knowledge of battling, the description of the characters with some slight backstory, it's all there. Also, was I the only one that was shocked that Yuri was actually male? I think it was the hair. Anyway, the game is pretty easy to get into with or without the manual, but it's really nice to see the amount of info that is bulged into the pages. But my one criticism is that who in the BlazBlue thought that they should make the credits on one page? Look at how small the text is. I can't even read a solitary single word from afar. You have to put your eyes real close to it or get a magnifying glass. Wow. Here's an instruction manual that feels more like a tourist guide. I mean, flip. It says it on the front page. Now, GTA Vice City is just a blast from the past in itself, but the manual adds more, showing the locations of the city, the ways of the transportation, entertainment resorts, and places to shop such as ammunition. It is pretty much presented as a tourist guide. My favorite part of this entire booklet is the Sounds of the City section, where it's pretty much the list of songs for each radio station in the game. Goes to show how much of a great soundtrack this game has. I really like the color as well, it really pops out with that 80s feel. I tried looking for something bizarre in the manual that wasn't the ads, and I most definitely did. For the instructions of avoiding damage to your disc or disk drive, one of the dot points says to never use oddly shaped discs such as star-shaped or heart-shaped discs. I don't know, it just seems random. I mean, this is a game for an adult. I don't think they'd do something as stupid as that to their Xbox. But hey, nitpicky I'm being here. It's a really great manual. Voodoo Vince. This is a nice manual we have here. Again, I shall say it is very simple in explaining the controls and the moves, etc, etc. It's really well organized. For example, pages 20 and 21, they keep it contained but are still giving you the amount of information you need. and you get some nice imagery. What I like the most is the little things, the nice little touches that didn't really need adding, but was included anyway for the fun of it. Like this part, the voodoo doll anatomy, where it explains each piece of Vince's body and the type of fabrics and innards he has. Oh god, what did they do to him? 100% burlap? Oh, the poor soul. Other tiny things that you probably never see are little Vince quotes at the bottom here, which are funny, but you'd rather hear them in the game. Still good though. Also, I never really noticed this before, but if you look close into the magic ball with the controller and flip it upside down, you can see Vince. Just there, randomly. Bloody hell, the pages are stuck together. Squash the bug. Nah, I'm just kidding. I just really wanted to do a terrible joke. My humble apologies. Oh yeah, this is pretty funny. Rarely do I read the safety information page, but if you go down to the bottom, you'll see this. You are not a voodoo doll. Vince is a trained professional. Do not attempt to use voodoo powers on yourself, or your little brother, or your pet goldfish, or even your crazy third period math teacher. That's amazing. I love things like that. I wouldn't dare do any hoodoo voodoo though. Maybe on my friends, but they just counterattack it. And last but not least, on the back of the manual, there's a cool cutout voodoo Vince that you could cut out and dress up and put up on your mantelpiece. I'm not intending on cutting mine out because I think he's good as he is, but it's just great to have that little addition. I swear this is the last Xbox game. I swear. I do apologize for lack of variety in consoles so far, but there was just so many good ones that I remembered from nostalgic memory, and this one is excellent. If you haven't seen or heard of this game, try it out if you can, because it's a glorified hidden gem in the Xbox library. Now the front page of the instruction manual is going to pull you in or freak you out. Maybe both. That is the smile of pure insanity, I tell you. The manual has your basics, the combos, the game modes, the challenges, and the controls. But that's not all. The best thing to come from this manual is these. Sometimes, you don't need a character description, especially for something as crazy as this. Not only do they look cool, but it's just an awesome homage to those martial art films from the 70s. And shouting, the creepy guy on the front page, put down these quotes that are so terrible but funny. Truly a masterful performance. Get it? Because the character's called Master Show You. Puns! And when was the last time an instruction booklet explained to you the whole plot? Not that it's a massive plot, but shouting literally explains the whole plot of the film he's making on these 2 pages. But you know, that's what most directors do, I think. I like it. Prepares you for what's to come when playing it. And overall, it's a funny booklet to give a look through. First off, look at how epic this front cover looks. Just avoid the little sticker in the corner there. Honestly think it looks better than the main box art, and that's some amazing stuff as well. Drakengard. I just keep on picking the peculiar ones. Yet again, it's simple. There's information that I can easily learn from within the game, and it's something I could just do without. But why is it on the list? Well, for games like these, I want to get into these worlds and understand the lore and the characters and the situation of the story. So when I open to the first page of this book, I get this. 4 paragraphs that informs me about Drakengard's world, the situations that are at hand, and a heavy character that is vital to the story, the sides, the good versus evil, and the lore. Everything I need to know about this game is explained on this one page, which I really like. And that is a really nice animated background image. and then we shimmy a couple pages over and we get the characters and everything we needed to know about them. Look at the amount of information that is given for each character, both the main and the side characters. Oh, Liam was in the game? Oh, sorry, I meant Leonard. If you want to know what's going on in Drakengard, give the manual a fair read. Here's the first game manual I ever came across as a little junior. I never read the booklet, I always looked at the pictures. And you can't blame me on this one. Look at the amount of writing and information that is filled onto the pages. It shows all the controls and pretty much how to do everything. Everything. I mean everything. When was the last time an instruction manual taught you how to play through the first mission with 7 pages of nothing but text? The amount of detail and information put into each page of this booklet is astonishing. There's even goddamn details for the vehicles both you control and destroy. I think more effort was put into this booklet alone than the actual game. This was a real tough choice. It was either between Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater or MGS4. And as much as my heart goes out to MGS4, I had to go with MGS3. It was a close choice though. Metal Gear Solid 4's instruction manual has a great stylistic way of mentioning the gameplay with comic strips, diagrams, and one of the best instructions for getting onto PlayStation Network. It's wonderfully formatted and organized as well. But I chose Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater because, honestly, I needed it. Not because it was too difficult for me or anything, it's just that there is so much info given to you in this game that my head cannot fathom of taking it all in. I don't really mean it story-wise, although it does get a bit complex sometimes in that area. I was very forgetful about the controls, items, and inventory. Now, before we begin looking into it, on the contents page, Konami thanks you for buying the game and insists that you read this manual thoroughly before heading into the game. It's not mandatory, but look at the list of contents. They want you to be prepared for what's ahead. And it doesn't let you down on that department. The first thing to catch your eye in the manual is this pretty cool comic inside that gives you the basics on the survival aspect. Before the comic, there is a very solid introduction and description of the story from MGS3 and Snake. And the rest after that is what I really got into. All the controls, the modes, weaponry, items, food, and the charts. Yeah, there's charts. It's a lot to take in. If I were to be nitpicky, I will say that some of the images are very, very small and hard to see. But the description is explained well. There is even instructions on how to download camouflage, but I never really fussed about that. There are some pretty cool images of the main and side characters of Snake Eater. There's no description about each one, but I find that a good thing, because these characters need to be revealed when you play it for yourself, otherwise it'd seem spoilerish. And the last thing I'll say is that there is a nice timeline for the historical events that actually took place before and during Snake Eater. So you're actually getting historical information as well, instead of just your gaming need to know stuff. I love it. Now on to number 1. Before I show my number 1 choice, just know that I picked games purely from nostalgic memory. I know there are plenty of instruction manuals that could have gone on the list, such as The Legend of Zelda, but I wouldn't feel right about it because I never grew up with that manual, no matter how great it is. So prepare to facepalm, because here it is. Yep, SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge. Now before you lose your cornflakes about it, let me reason with you. As I mentioned, LHX Attack Chopper was the first manual I came across, but Super Sponge was the first manual I really delved into and managed to read all of it. I got Super Sponge from one of my uncles, and I was 6 years old at the time, so reading video game booklets was not my thing. I just wanted to play the game. And for this, I have no idea why, but I really liked looking at this manual. I think the reason why is the amount of colour on each page and the comic book vibe it gives. Starting off with the contents page, its very bold text and alignment is well constructed for kids of all ages to understand what to look for in the booklet. And we pass over to this part of the page, which is usually always ignored in every game I ever bought. But I do like the little added section here for those non-analog controller players. I don't think I've seen any other PS1 manual do that, especially for a game from 2001. So in the manual, you've got a decent description of the controls, an introduction that explains the story of Super Sponge very well, even though it's not really a compelling plot. There's a great description of the items you use as well as the pickups and power-ups. These SpongeBob tips explain certain moves SpongeBob can do, such as the butt bounce, explaining about the golden spatulas you collect, and how to leave the option screen. It's for kids. The best part that comes from this booklet is the description of each chapter, because it literally tells you what you have to do and what you'll encounter. So the manual pretty much spoils the game for you as well. But it's SpongeBob. I don't think it's much of a concern for spoilers in a SpongeBob game, okay? Not only is there images of the game itself, but animated images from the show as well, which will definitely keep the very young kids interested. This manual nowadays could be the most run-of-the-mill booklet you'll see, but for me, I'll remember it for piquing my interest and give me an open thought into reading video game instruction booklets. Not because of just the look of it, but because it gave a great amount of information to have a definite understanding before I played. Also, this game introduced me to SpongeBob SquarePants, so that's a plus, I guess. But to end on this, I will admit, after reading the manual and playing it, I didn't like it. So, yeah, another generically generic top 10 list ticked off the box, and expect more. Just expect more. I'm gonna be making more. Top 10s are very easy for people to make. I mean, everyone on YouTube makes top 10. Sadly, I picked the weirdest ones. Oh, and don't forget to put down your favorite instruction manuals down in the comments below, because I will be reading them.